Hey everybody, welcome back to Jess Plays Exile Election. We are going to have some story time today. So, instead of going to the merry-go-round, or the, kaitengiba, however you want to say that. I've never seen a merry-go-round not called a merry-go-roundo, so, you know, but it makes sense, you know, revolving tree horses. But anyway, let's do some story time. And then for the next one, we'll do the final election. Just want to, read this stuff, get it all good to go, because, like, I know there's quite a few things that we haven't read yet. Now, I know that there's also quite a few things that, like, we need to, I know. It's because I've already gotten them, whatever. Alright. We're gonna kind of splice in some story times throughout the place. Throughout everywhere, so we'll see how that goes. So I think we're already done with Yuri. I think we need to do Michimune. I don't think we finished Shihori, and I don't think we finished Hakushuu either. So, these are the three I'm gonna do today. We're gonna see how long it takes for me to read their whole shebang, because I don't expect everybody to remember what happened when I originally read the first parts of this, like, 30 parts ago or whatever. So, yeah. Two twins moved in next door. They had replaced the girl who had been living there up until now, whom I had only had exchanged greetings with, and before long the three of us were living together. I remember the first time that they had greeted me in their halting Japanese, and it had made me feel as if I was turning over a new leaf. The older sister, Asha, had taken the edges of her skirt and delivered a polite curtsy. The younger sister, Kasha, had bowed in the Japanese style, as if she had picked it up from somewhere. Their father was Russian, and their mother was Japanese. So even though it was halting and incomplete, they were able to speak Japanese. You're Hakushuu-sama, right? Nice to meet you. I'm not gonna fucking do onegaishimasu, I'm sorry. It's been too fucking long. My first impression of them was that they were rather mature for their age. However, when I had greeted them and they greeted me back, they had smiled at me in a way that was appropriate for young girls such as they were. I don't know where they had picked up the habit of calling me Sama, so I asked them once to knock it off. However, it seemed as though that's what the twins wanted to call me, and so therefore they just continued to do it. Before long, our relationship had deepened beyond just greeting each other every day. Soon I was being invited over for dinner, and inviting them over for dinner as well. However, the greatest change came when I was elected to become their in-house tutor. At first I had turned down the offer, since the two girls were still in elementary school, and I wasn't even in college yet. I was just commuting to a no-name private school. However, since just speaking to them normally would count as Japanese practice, and because their grandmother had offered me such a high sum of money, in the end I decided to take on the duty. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, so I had plenty of time on my hands. The twins were honestly adorable. I felt as though I now had two younger sisters, and we spent every day in each other's company having fun. My relationship with the twins continued to deepen. It seems that even before they had moved here, they had had interest in Japan as their mother's homeland, and they had tried to study Japanese. Because they had a love for the language, they were able to pick up on things very quickly, and in about half a year, they were able to speak naturally. I didn't really teach them much during that period, but I continued on as their tutor since they loved me so much and it was so much fun. We were always doing things together. They were always doing things together, and the two of them seemed to get along rather well. Sometimes they would get into a fight over who would get to spend more time with me. However, looking at them as younger siblings who were so much younger sisters who were so much younger than me, it felt more like something I could smile at. But then things changed. There was an accident. One day, my parents left in the car to go visit my mother's hometown, and they never returned. In truth, I had been supposed to accompany them. But because the twins had wanted to spend the day with me and kept insisting on it, and because I cared about both my parents and the twins, it just happened to be that I had stayed behind. If I had been in the car with them, it's very probable I would have died too. That was how horrible of an accident it was. When I went to go see their bodies at the hospital, it was the first time that I had seen them since they had left. But even for me, I couldn't consider what was left my mother and father. I barely recognized them. They told me that they wanted me to identify the bodies. aside from wanted me to identify the bodies, but it was more a formality than anything else, and I was quickly returned home. That night, I got sick over and over again and couldn't sleep. You could say that I was sad, but I wasn't crying. I was just assaulted with nausea and a feeling that a scream might rip itself out of my throat at any moment. If I had been in the car with them, I could have prevented the accident. I wonder if they hate me for surviving. It didn't feel like it was real, like everything had happened in a dream. And I felt like I was looking at it from somewhere far away, as if I were a different person. It was a very strange feeling. My parents' funeral finished without much of an incident. Since my uncle from a neighboring prefecture took care of most of it, all I had to do was basically stand there. Despite that, seeing all of my parents' friends and acquaintances there wearing their mourning wear, and hearing their words of I'm trying to search for the word. Condolences. Yeah, and hearing their condolences. Oh, I didn't finish the sentence. All I had to do was stand there. All I had to do was stand there and look as if I was mourning, seeing my parents' friends and acquaintances around me wearing their funeral black and sharing condolences. The twins and also that aunt participated or helped carry the coffins. Even draped in their black mourning wear, the twins were absolutely adorable. Hakushuu-sama, please have our condolences. Kasha said, tears in her eyes and offering me a stiff bow. It's okay. You still have me, Hakushuu-sama. Asha said, taking my hand and tears spilling from her eyes. Perhaps it was a little bit pathetic that I had to be comforted by small children like this, but at the time I really appreciated it. Even though they had only known them for a short time, here they were, crying over my parents. It also made me feel as if I wasn't fully alone. After the funeral, I went back to my room where there was no one else around, and for the first time, I cried. I wasn't able to cry the night I had found out, nor when I was carrying their coffins. It only seemed real after the fact. Or I guess it only hit me after the fact. I heard the front door chime, and I looked up from my pillow. I wiped my tears and hurried to the door. And there stood the twins. Hakushuu-sama, we're looking forward to our life with you going forward. Please, allow us to stay by you always, Hakushuu-sama. The twins said, standing there smiling. It was at that moment that I suddenly felt a strange, small fear toward the twins. About 6 months after my parents' death. Okay. I spent the 6 months after my parents' death more or less getting by. I felt grateful for surviving. And no one had made me feel guilty. However, because of that, I started to feel as though nothing really mattered anymore. And I started to feel that way entirely on accident. The twins, as always, were making all of my meals for me. I wasn't attending university because I was too busy holding myself up in my room. I shouldn't have really relied on elementary school students to take care of me when I was so much older. And I wish I had realized that at the time. Why hadn't I turned them down to begin with? We'll call you when the food's ready, so please wait until then. I'm so sorry to both of you. Hakushuu-sama, please don't worry about it. If it's for you, I'm willing to do anything. Right. Would you like to go back to your room? Ah, yes. It seems as though you're looking a little bit pale, so perhaps you should rest a bit? There were several questions that flitted through my mind, but everything had just sort of fallen into place naturally like this, and so I left everything to them because it was much easier. I went back to my room as the twins instructed and fell onto my bed. It really did just kind of happen. I had a weird dream, and suddenly I woke up. I forgot about what the contents of the dream were almost immediately. But I knew that it had been a dream about the twins. The twins, smiling brightly at me while clad in funeral black. And then, about my parents' death. Several scenes flew through my mind. However, in the end, the only thing I remembered was the two of them smiling. I stood up on my shaking legs and went to go move from my room. Without thinking, I opened the door, and from that moment forward, my life changed forever. Or at least it would have, had I not just stood in front of the door and stared at it. I stood there, so I could listen to the faint singing-like sounds coming from the girls. Ah, don't you just love it? Hakushuu-sama's gentle face. Oh, of course his smile is fantastic, but for Hakushuu-sama, I do feel as though he looks better when he's feeling down. The two of them let out a girlish giggle. I just want it to be us, the two of us together, going forward. One-sama, that's not what we promised. Okay, I'm not going to let what happened before happen again. I know, Kasha, I know. Sorry to make it sound like it was back. Sorry to remind you of what things were like with our older brother. I don't know if they mean like their actual older brother, or if they just mean like a dude that was older than them. Like, it's not entirely clear. And I mean, like, I think it's implied to be their actual brother, because they call Hakushuu-sama Hakushuu-sama, they don't call him Oni-sama. But, like, I'm not 100%, I can't confidently say one way or the other. I had no idea what the two of them were talking about. However, the sound of them calling me lovely and fabulous, and then the way that they laughed, sounding like the flaps of a dove's wings, it just didn't sit right with me. Alright, let's take some time this time. Indeed. I heard them come to some sort of agreement, but the last thing I heard was both of them speaking at the same time. I will make Hakushuu-sama mine. Hakushuu-sama is mine. And then the two of them smiled again, or laughed again. I guess because he's behind the door. Can mean laugh or smile, but since I can't see them, I'm gonna go with laugh. And to that end, that's why we got rid of those two who were standing in the way. It's so beautiful seeing Hakushuu-sama sink into such deep sadness. Alright, well, it's my fate to once again bring a smile to Hakushuu-sama's face. I couldn't even tell which one of them was speaking anymore. The two who were in the way. And they got rid of them? What did that mean? Oh god, they couldn't mean my parents, could they? I opened the door and hunted both of them down. What you just said, what does that mean? Explain yourselves, Kasha, Asha! Even though my voice trembled, my anger won out. I had wanted to know what the heck they were talking about. and how they had looked when they had been talking about it. That's why I had chased them out here, but... Hakushuu-sama, what's wrong? Why don't you rest a little bit more? You're really pale today. Don't change the subject! What were you talking about just now? Was that true? Did you really get rid of them? Those two, my... It seems that you're still not sleeping well, are you? Yes, what are you talking about? We haven't said anything to that effect. Liar. Their smiles were terrifying. It was like, if things kept going this way, I felt like it would be similar to the dream I had just had, and I wanted to forget all about it. Perhaps... Perhaps they hadn't said anything. Perhaps if they didn't say anything else... Okay, perhaps if they hadn't said anything else, that's what would have happened. I would have just assumed that I had been confused about my dream. But the two of them kept talking. And even if we had, it's not like you could prove it. Of course, I would never make such a mistake. Therefore, you should forget about that. Forget about such things, Hakushuu-sama. And just live with the two of us. No, Kasha. Forgetting about things would be such a shame. It makes sense for Hakushuu-sama to be sad. Hakushuu-sama should leave a memory of his parents in his heart, and it would grow more and more beautiful as time continues on. That's the way it should be. I couldn't understand what they were talking about. However, it did make it very disgustingly clear that they had killed my parents. Yeah, but, like, how? Like, it's my question. What did they, like, put a bomb in the car? Like... From that day on, I spent all of my time consumed on finding a way to take my revenge. Despite that, the twins didn't treat me any differently. They moved into my house and started making meals and taking care of me and speaking to me as if I actually had forgotten the whole thing. Both of you. I want to kill you both! Whenever I said that, the two of them smiled at me. There's no way you could do that. You're fated to be with me forever, Hakushuu-sama. Asha said, staring off into space as if she were dreaming. Being killed by Hakushuu-sama? Kasha said. Kasha said, a blush spreading across her cheeks. And then, that accident happened. I tried unsuccessfully to kill them many, many times. I honestly couldn't tell you why I was so unsuccessful, given that the two of them were nothing but small girls. But I will say that it seemed like the two of them were used to it. To killing and having someone try to kill them. if I tried to attack them with a blade, or beat them up, or arrange for some sort of accident to happen, they always realized what was going on. And then, well, it honestly was just an accident. I was trying to kill the two of them, and instead I killed their grandmother. The way I decided I was finally going to take them out was through poison. I mean, okay, but like, do you really think that elementary school kids on their own are gonna be, you know, that attuned to, like, casually killing people and casually sidestepping attempts on their lives? Like, clearly, the people responsible for them had some sort of, like, you know, fucking hand in making them the way they are. Like, when you meet them in this game, they're 13. Like, come on. So I don't really feel quite so bad in this case about this accidental killing. I tried to pick a difficult to detect poison so that they wouldn't be able to figure it out. But I was never able to get the poison into their own mouths, and instead I killed a woman who had nothing to do with it. I'll never forget what the two of them said to me that time. Ah, so it seems like you're like us now. We'll take care of the body. So, Hakushuu-sama, don't worry about anything. I couldn't understand it. Or, if I did understand it, I'd be terrified. Despite that, I couldn't not ask. Why are you both able to do this? The response I received was, as one would expect, completely outside the realm of my understanding. It's because everything we do is because we love you. Everything is for your sake, Hakushuu-sama. I knew more or less that they weren't lying. For the first time in my life, from the very depths of my heart, I wanted to kill someone. And then I was surprised at how easy it was to give myself over to the madness. I might have laughed at the same time. And so, at the very end of our very strange conversation, I suggested giving myself over to the madness. Alright, the two of you. Kill each other. Whichever one survives, I'll love. And with that lie, I saw a sparkle in both the twins' eyes. And once again, I fell into despair. The twins laughed. Even as blood poured from their eyes. Blood poured from their eyes by meaning the ones that they lost, I'm assuming. They dealt with the pain and laughed. Is there really no way to kill them? I would need some way to kill both of them at the same time without fail. Wait, what if it wasn't the two of them, but the three of us? Ah, it could be done in just a moment. Even if I died before the twins, that would be fine. In fact, if I died first, that would cause the most damage to the twins of all, wouldn't it? You're welcome. And so, I'd prepare a new set of poison. I would introduce it little by little so that the two of them would never realize. It was a small, subtle effect, but as time went on, I started to feel a little bit dissociated from my own body, thanks to the poison. Okay, so he's sick, quote-unquote sick, because he's poisoning himself to try and take out him and both the twins. But it looks like the twins aren't being poisoned, so they're just, like, not drinking it, I guess? I don't know. Oh wait, we did finish Yuri's own original. It was the thing with, like, her mom, and she was like, oh, I wanna go with my mom. Alright, whatever. Let's do Michimune this time. Now, this one I know I read pretty recently. So this one we might hurry through a little bit. Okay. After school, I'd normally be on my way to clubs right now, but today was different. Are you really okay with this? Don't you have a big match coming up? Said Yuri. But since I had gotten a chance for the three of us to walk home together, and that had been something that had been tough to wrangle lately, I was pretty happy. Pretty happy to be where I was. And besides, there was no reason to be afraid of a stalker when I was around. Eh, don't worry about it. It's not really that big of a deal. It's not really that big of a match. And if I skip a day or two of practice, it won't change anything. That's what you say now. I felt bad for making Yuri worry, but at this point, I felt like Miori-san was way more important than the actual match. Anyway, Miori-san, what kind of guy is your stalker? Sorry, but I don't actually have any idea what kind of person they are. Well, I guess it's tough to say since you've never seen him. Lately, Miori-san had felt like she had been watched, and so she had told her brother Yuri, and then I had heard about it. This was the first I was hearing about it in detail. I'm really sorry if it's just my imagination. No, I mean, if it's your imagination, then there's no problem. In fact, that would be better. Since we started junior high school, Since we had started junior high school and I had joined the volleyball club, it had become extremely rare for the three of us to walk home like this. And I was not happy about it. I heard that Miori-san had joined the art club. But since the sports clubs ran a little bit later, we weren't able to walk home together. Which is true, by the way, in junior high school. Because I used to visit, I would go to the art club pretty regularly, and then sometimes I'd go to, like, kendo, or ping pong, or, like, baseball, or soccer, or whatever, tennis, and those all ran way later. And they come in the morning, too, to practice in the morning before school. My club was fun, and I wasn't dissatisfied with it or anything, but I really did miss hanging out with Miori and Yuri. And that's why I couldn't let this chance slip through my fingers. But if it's not just your imagination, that's going to be tough. So I want to be able to do anything I can to try and be with you. I said, a little bit too strongly, perhaps. I wanted to continue on a little bit further, but Yudi shot me a glare and shook his head. I don't think it's just her imagination. At the very least, I've seen the guy. What? You've seen him? Well, I haven't seen their face. I was surprised. I was surprised and also a little confused about whether or not Yudi had actually seen the person or not. That's when he continued. I know that somebody was out in our yard. I know that someone was out in our yard. And I think they might have had a camera. Because it was dark and at night I could see the light reflecting off of the lens. At that moment, upon hearing his explanation, I realized something. Wait, this person's going to your house? That's dangerous. Did you call the police? Well, I mean, the cop down at the station listened to us, but we don't have any proof. I mean, Nason and I just all they have is Nason and my word. I mean, they said that sometimes the people who live up in the mountains will come down to take a look around. Yeah, but having somebody dangerous come to your house holding a camera? I mean, could you really just leave things as they were? And just, since there wasn't a victim yet? Would be nice, oh man. Would be nice if he did his job a little bit more seriously, huh, Yudi? Well, I mean, he's the only cop we've got in this village. And I mean, we just don't have enough people. What is he gonna do? Yudi answered me, completely calmly. But I couldn't be satisfied with that. Alright, well if that's how it is, then I'm just gonna have to stick with you. Perhaps it was a little bit late for me to be saying this, but more than anything, I wanted to make sure it got out. At the very least, I wanted to make sure that I made it clear that I was, or at the very least, it felt like a natural thing to add on. Sorry, Michimune-kun. No, it's fine. I mean, this is way more important than my club practice. Well, I mean, it's fine if I take a break from some of my practices. I mean, they say that the people who are the best on the team can do that, so... I didn't want to worry Miyori-san about any of this. Although, how I felt was probably more of an issue. Didn't you just say earlier... Didn't you just admit earlier that you were cutting, Michimune? Yudi said, with a hint of delight in his voice. Yudi often liked to play the straight man to my funny man. And straight man to my funny man, making it feel as though this was like one of the many times that the three of us had hung out together before. Well, listen, it's basically the same thing. Although I wasn't actually feeling any bad. The most important thing was to make sure that Miyori-san didn't feel bad about things. Perhaps the fact that Yuri was caring for how she felt too reached her, because she finally smiled. Alright, well, for the time being, why don't the three of us go home together like this? Upon saying that, upon me saying that, Yuri smiled and nodded. I remember thinking that it would be fun to be doing this for a little while, and return to the way things used to be. It was about 1 week after when we had decided to start going home together when Yuri gave me the news. The short message, "Help me, Michimune," arrived. I had replied in a panic asking where he was, but the only thing that came back was just the single word, "shrine." What the heck had happened? But I had actually known. But deep down I knew. I hadn't heard about Miyori-san wanting to go and return a book to the library. I thought it would have been fine because it was summer vacation and there'd be plenty of other students there trying to take advantage of the coolness of the AC, I guess. That's at least what Miyori-san had told us, but Yuri had also said something else, and for a short period of time, the three of us were all doing completely different things. It seemed that during that moment we had all let our guard down. It all probably would have been fine, except I was practicing at home, and so I had gone to the gym to borrow volleyball. I'll be gone for just a sec, okay, Yuri? Grabbing a bat from the storage room, I headed out and ran toward the shrine. Completely out of breath, I reached the base of the shrine, and the minute I arrived, I found Yuri looking as if he were about to cry, sitting on the steps leading up to it. Yuri, what happened? What the heck went down? Yuri just silently shook his head and didn't answer me. And what about Miyori-san? Where is she? Yuri! Nei-san's up there. Up there? What, in the shrine? Isn't that dangerous? Yuri, why are you here? What are you doing? Questions tumbled out of my mouth. And I wondered if I should head upstairs or not. Yuri was acting weird for sure, but I also was really worried about Miyori-san. Hey, Yuri! I'm fine. Nei-chan's fine too, I think. You think? I walked up to Yuri, who seemed to be extremely out of it, and grabbed his shoulder. And then I realized there was blood on Yuri's face. What? Did you get injured? Are you okay? Are you hurt? Yuri! I'm not hurt, but... Upon saying this, Yuri looked over to the side. When I followed his gaze, I didn't see anything. No, Yuri was looking away from something. So, what I needed to see should have been in the other direction. What is this? And that's where she was, in the opposite direction from where Yuri was looking. A woman? Even though we were in the dead of summer, the woman was wearing a pitch black shirt and skirt, lying down in the grass. Her clothes were wet with something. Okay. And her body was strangely contorted. It took a little bit of time for me to realize that it was blood. Yuri, explain this. Where's Miori-san? And who's this woman? Yuri answered, whispering so that only I could hear. I killed her. Yuri's answer was short, but despite that... Oh, okay. His answer was short, and I wondered if I hadn't misheard him. I killed her. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. What the... Why, Yuri? What's up with this woman? It's because she's Nei-san's stalker. Huh? Wait, seriously? For some reason, I was assuming the stalker had been a man. I thought it would have been some dad who was hitting middle age. Or some creepy guy with really long, dirty hair. That was what I had been imagining. But in real life, the person collapsed here in front of me, completely unmoving, was a woman. At least according to Yuri. She said she was gonna kill Nei-san. For a moment, for seriously only a moment, I thought that maybe we were in the wrong since she had been a woman. But the minute that Yuri said that, all of my doubts were completely erased. Yuri was not someone who would lie about something like that. And I'd believe him over some woman nobody knew. Okay, so what about Miori-san? I mean, have we already told the police? Not yet. Nei-san's up there. What? Why haven't you called the police? Oh my god, that's like the obvious thing that we need to do. No, it's... No, it's... She can't move. But I'm the one who finished her off. No way. There's no way. You couldn't do something like that. I'm sorry, Michimune. Please tell Nei-san I am too. I killed her. It was pretty obvious that things would not get any better if we continued on like this. I was worried about Yuri, but I also wanted to make sure that we figured out what was going on with Miori as well. Alright, I'll be right back. Don't move. Okay, Yuri? Yeah. Leaving Yuri, I ran up the stairs. way back when, Yudi and I had counted these stairs, and so I knew that there were 312 of them. The person who took care of the shrine had actually gone to go live at a different, much bigger shrine, and only came around occasionally to clean the grounds, so it was for the most part abandoned. We were the only ones who lived around here, and so we started calling it our secret base, and we would bring books and drinks and hang out here until it got dark every day. Such an unnecessary thing suddenly thrust itself into my mind, and I had to forget about it. And then, when I finally reached the top of the stairs, a little bit further away from the edge, was Miori-san. She was sitting on the ground in much the same state Yudi had been in. Miori-san? Michimune-kun? Looking up, I could see that Miori-san's face was so white that it seemed as if she was about to pass out. I heard from Yudi that you were up here. Miori-san, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm not injured, but this felt exactly like it had with Yudi. At the very least, for right now, everybody was very confused. Being left to think alone here was probably not the best for her. Alright, for right now, why don't we head back down? Yudi's waiting for us. Got it. I brought Miori-san down with me, carefully climbing down the steps. It was almost about time for the sun to set and for it to get dark. Alright, it dyed Miori-san's face red, and she stared forward absent-mindedly as she descended, step by step. Yudi was sitting right where I had left him. It seemed as though he hadn't moved a muscle. Yudi, I brought Miori-san. What do we do? We turn ourselves in. Miori-san, deeply surprised at what Yudi had just said, suddenly looked up. What? Why? Why would you do it? I mean, I'm the one... I wasn't able to hear what she said afterward because her voice had dropped so low, but I was able to more or less make out what she had said. I'm the one who pushed her down. I don't remember how we talked things out after that. Yudi had said that the only way was for him to turn himself in. And Miori-san, as was her custom, insisted that the woman died from her pushing her down the stairs. For me, who had shown up to the scene of the crime later, after everything was over, I didn't really care which one of them was responsible for the killing blow. But I was really worried about our usual daily lives being completely shattered by this, and so that's what I kept thinking. And we decided in the end that we would completely bury the woman's body. We'd never be found out. We had definite confidence in that. No adults would come. We should bury her somewhere where no adults would go and ever find her. I was the one who suggested that. It felt weird, as if I wasn't myself and that it was someone else completely making that suggestion. I would never let Yuri or Miyori-san take the fall for this crime. The one at fault was this woman, not the two of them. But there was no guarantee that the police would feel that way, so... Neither Yuri nor Miyori-san resisted my suggestion. We put the woman into a wheelbarrow and carried her deep into the forest. Yuri had 2 shovels, and Miyori-san walked behind us. You could hear the sounds of the tree branches and... Oh, okay. The only things you could hear were the sounds of the tree branches, and the sound of us stepping on the grass. I also felt as though you could hear the thundering of my own heartbeat. When it was about getting dark, I stopped pushing the wheelbarrow. If we came this far, we'd be fine. In order to not see the woman's body dumped onto the ground, I turned around to take a trowel from Yuri. Alright, let's get this done. Yuri silently nodded, and the 2 of us began to dig a hole. Miyori-san watched over us, but none of us seemed to be thinking about anything. We were just mindlessly digging a hole. I don't remember how much time it took for us to dig what would have been sufficient as a grave. With sweat in my eyes, I was unable to check my watch. Okay, sorry. Wiping the sweat. Wiping the sweat that threatened to fall into my eyes, I checked my watch. It seemed as though we'd only about 15 minutes had passed. I had a feeling that we'd been digging for much longer. Sorry, Michimune. Yuri said, throwing down his trowel on the ground and walking away for a moment. Don't worry about it. Let's just hurry up and get her buried. I turned my gaze back onto the woman's body, which I didn't want to be looking at. And at that moment, from behind me, I heard the sound of a bird. Oh crap, what is an umeki in English? Hold up. We shall find out. Like, so many, like, animal and plant names and stuff. I know what they are in Japanese, but I just don't remember what they are. Oh, right, I'm dumb. Okay, it sounded like a groan. My bad. Oh, you know what? I'm confusing it with another name of a bird. Never mind. Okay. It sounded like the call of a bird, but I heard a groan. Yuri had turned around and thrown up on the ground. Are you okay? I mean, they just killed a person. You're digging her grave in the fucking woods. No, I don't think she's okay. I couldn't even explain myself why I was so calm at a time like this. Maybe it was because I knew that I had no hand in killing her. Sorry, Michimune. Okay. I was thinking that I was doing the right thing. That I was definitely doing this to protect the two of them. It's fine. I'll take care of the rest of this, so why don't you go check on Miyori-san? It was starting to get really dark now, and I wasn't able to see much around me. But I knew that Miyori-san was waiting a little ways away from us. She had asked nobody to come near her, but... Oh, okay. We had told her she didn't have to come with, but she had decided that she wanted to be nearby anyway. I'm sorry, really. Yuri said again, and then again. And finally, when I insisted, he walked unsteadily over to where his sister was waiting. I took the light that we had used while digging and turned and moved closer to the woman. I wasn't scared, but it was pretty gross. I grabbed her legs and dragged her along the ground. And I was surprised at how thin her ankles were. The entire thing just felt so surreal. After I dropped the woman into the hole, I washed the blood off of the trowels and the wheelbarrow, so that my father would never realize what had happened. I returned everything to the shed. I wondered what I should do. While thinking about this, while thinking about all of this, I refilled in the hole we had just dug. I decided to start filling in from her head first, so that I wouldn't have to see her face anymore. But at that point, I had already been feeling as if this entire thing was so strange. The first thing I realized was that it sounded like someone was singing. It didn't feel like it was either Miyori-san or Yuri. It felt like it was some sort of thin woman singing. Since I didn't believe in things like ghosts or monsters, I just decided that it was my imagination. But if I strained my ears, I definitely could hear it. Different from the pounding of my heart. I could definitely tell what this was trying to say. Kill all of them. was just that phrase in a simple rhythm, repeated over and over endlessly as if it were music. I turned my light to where the woman's face would be. I hadn't really been taking care to look very carefully, but it seemed as if just a little bit the dirt had shifted. And I could hear the voice coming from there. For the first time, I felt a deep fear. It's not me. It's for the two of them. That excuse bubbled up in my throat. In order to stop the sound, I began to fill in more of the dirt. I couldn't do anything but that. Even though I couldn't see the woman's body anymore, the song still continued. Or maybe I just felt that it did. But that song, even when I returned home, it still continued. No matter what happened in the days that followed, the song still continued. The thing with the incident with the woman never actually made the news. They reported that a young woman had gone missing from a local hospital. I feel like I had heard something along those lines, but that had nothing to do with us. Miyori-san, Yuri, and we never spoke of that day again, and I thought that was just fine. However, since that day, that creepy song has never left my ears. Sometimes I think about telling the other two about it. If I do that, maybe Miyori-san and Yuri will realize that neither of them killed the woman. But I can never bring myself to. I don't want to admit what I've done. I mean, after all, it's not like I did it myself. That excuse always pops up, and then again disappears. I've thought over and over again that I want to take this to my grave. It's sad, but there's been times when I've actually slit my wrists in order to feel the blood running down them. It was only a couple of centimeters, and it was easy to hide the scars with my wristbands. All of this, it's the fault of what happened that day. And I knew that the only ones who understood how I felt were Miyori-san and Yuri. I'm a coward. The secret that the three of us shared, the fact that the crime that was mine alone, I was unable to say anything to them. Instead, I sought sympathy from them. I wouldn't have been able to bear the guilt of my crime alone. That winter, I got rejected by a potential lover. Okay. It's so hard to translate shitskoi, because, like, it's such, like, this, like, neat little phrase that's like, yep, you confessed to somebody and they turned you down. But, like, it's an awkward, long-ass thing to say in English. Alright, those are the ones we're gonna do for right now. For story time, I'm pretty sure we finished Yurizono. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember this part. But, okay, maybe we'll do some Shihori. So anyway, I'm gonna mark off the ones that I finished. We finished Hakushuu, we finished Michimune. I'm pretty sure we finished Yuri. We finished one of the twins, I think. We're done Ichika, we're done Miori. I think that's it. So we have a few more, but I got some more cards right before the last election, which you can't really do anything about. You know, you can't, like, go read them before the election or anything, so I obviously I'm gonna have some more time to do more story time after the last election, because I swear to God, I'm pretty sure this is gonna come up, in my, in the quiz portion that you have to do. So anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. It's been fun, and, hopefully in the next week or two, I'll be able to bring you the last final election, which should be the last one that takes forever to go up, because it's the last one I'll have to freaking subtitle, hopefully. And then once we're done with this game, it's been a long, hard road. Once we're done with this game, I'm gonna start some other stuff. I have some other games lined up that I want to do, which should be much easier, to get done. Because either, like, I don't have to do, like, a whole huge, like, crazy setup thing for them, like I do with this one, and, I don't necessarily need to be translating them. There are a couple things that I have in the queue that are, like, translation style stuff, but they're smaller projects, so, you know, they're not going to be, like, long-term things like this. Also, if you guys have suggestions about other stuff you want to see, played or translated or whatever, let me know, okay? Alright, have fun everybody, have a great week, and I'll see you later. Bye!